1-1 is Louis Schreiber, who gave him a good run for his money last time out.
Here's, and he's sticking close, Louis Schreiber. And look at this field coming to the green here. What an amazing crowd there is today at NOLA Motorsports Park. An amazing atmosphere. And we are about to go racing in the Blue Marble Radical Cup.
Here we go then, a full field of Radicals heading your way up this front straight then, led by John Field, who had such a good run last time out. Up go the revs and away they go.
And that's
good start from Schreiber.
It's got to be 3, 4, 5, 6 wide at the moment. Unbelievable stuff from this field. A mixed bag field, 3 classes of racing, and already we see some separation between those faster Platinum class cars as Duchelski takes the lead, it would appear, from Greg Gorski, who's got a smashing start because he appears to have eclipsed Nick Persing.
Yeah, they both got ahead of him, so he leads in the 1500, but Field also overtaken by Schreiber in the Platinum class too at the start of that one. He got a much better getaway. And now things starting to settle down as one car goes wide. Persing, though, got a good start in the 19, the all-white there, heading out to the back of the field.
Persing with a bit of work to do because he was vying for that win this morning, and now he's stuck in 3rd place behind a very storied Radical competitor, Greg Gorski. Gorski has also been running in the Creventex series all last year and has just elevated himself in terms of his driving. It really has done him justice to do a lot of racing in Europe and impressing amongst the young guns.
And already this field starting to spread out dramatically. Schreiber, though, pulling away at the front, and that was a really good job by the 1-1-1, Louis Schreiber, to get ahead. Look at this battle.
Oh, and right down to the inside and getting chopped off. I think that was the number 5 of Ken Savage. And around the outside he goes. Now we have the inside run. So Savage through for position. And the Lucas Oil School of Racing certainly doing its job there, teaching Ken well. And he wasn't going to back out.
No, he absolutely wasn't. So the field spread out as they come back at us down the front straight towards us again, flat out in this long straight.
You can see Aurora Strauss with a huge gaggle of cars behind her. She's got a bit of a clean run, but to the inside again, and just it's very, very close there. That's one of the Bacons. In fact, that's both Bacons.
Yeah,
so,
Seth Bacon in the grey and red there. Seth in the number 3.
Yeah, hunting down Sun. So Jace in the lead, and they're mixing it up with the 1500s.
Oh, a little touch there, Bacon getting knocked sideways, and he puts an arm out. I don't know whether in gesticulation or to say, don't worry, I see you.
Well, I think Ken Savage might be in the lead of Pro 1340 at the moment.
So this is going on.
It's a great battle out there, isn't it?
Really good. Oops, somebody went a little wide, but no harm, no foul. I think he just touched the wheel onto the dirt there. Recovers well. And Schreiber, Field, and Duchelski. That's your leaders at the moment. Duchelski leading the 1500 Pro class.
So what has happened to Indy Miller, the 500 machine, not showing on the timing score? That's absolute disaster for him. And someone who's got more Radical North America championships than anyone else appears to be out of this motor race.
Yeah, that's a real shame. It's a shame to lose anybody. You mentioned a couple at the top of the show of who you've lost because of damage, a couple of S's cars going out. You never like to see that of a weekend when there's so much to come.
And through screen, I thought I picked up that 500 machine because he's got some green and blue on it. But it was a couple of the guys a bit further back, and that was our leader, I believe. Oh, in the 1340 class. 1340 class. Yeah. And Mike Ansaldi muscling his way through in the 61 machine.
This is really good racing, though. Very close indeed. But you can see there's ounces of confidence with racing this close between all of them. They obviously know each other very well.
Richard Millet driver, Aurora Strauss just on the screen before. And now we're back to this battle with Ansaldi, who's fighting with the 27 of Reed Stewart from Group A Racing, and then we've got a Pro 1340 class in the mix as well. So The 999 of Jace Bacon from Apex Country Club in Arizona, Crown Concepts. Crown team, very, very strong, and always seem to field very fast cars. I don't know what it is in the water out in Arizona, but they produce some very quick motor racing drivers.
Well, it's because the sun shines all the time, you see, so they got plenty of time to go racing.
Well, amazingly, they hadn't driven in the wet until
yeah, I'll bet.
the qualifying session and did spectacular. So I don't know whether that was just pure naivety or just, again, the raw talent they have.
Now, look at the gap between Jachelski and Persing. Here's Persing coming up, but you saw the gap there. He's got, what, some 6 or 7 seconds ahead in that chasing battle for 1500.
Crucially, though, Persing passed Gorski and Riley right there as well. So young Austin Riley, what an amazing story. This young man has autism, started off in go-karts, has pursued motorsport, really, if you like, against a lot of odds, certainly more odds than most, and is just turning into the biggest superstar ever. Came onto the scene in Canada, won the Canadian Radical Cup Championship, followed that up by coming down to North America, or down to the US rather, running the North American Championship, won the Pro 1340 Championship last year, and the outright champion. He's off to race in England as a prize for that later this year, and stepped up to Pro 1500 and running 4th in class at the moment.
Very impressive, no question about it. Schreiber continued to pull ahead at the front, 1.5 seconds he leads at the moment. And a good battle also coming up behind.
It's impressive that John Field, or impressive for Schreiber, that John Field hasn't been able to tag on the back of that 111 machine.
But also impressive, the 88. Jachelski now catching up with the 2 Platinum cars. And that's in the last lap or so. He's kept that right up there with them. In fact, he's putting in quicker laps.
And think about that, they've got almost double the horsepower. So the young gun from the Wisco Racing camp is just showing his raw talent here. And talk about talent, because he's pulling away from a young man that's been oh, and he has a massive moment.
Oh.
So the 88 nearly throws it all away.
That was, you could see his hands moving in trying to save that, and he just did it, but he's not letting off, I'll say that. Keep going.
He's on the absolute ragged edge, using every last bit of grip that these hand-cooked tyres will provide. I'd be interested to know how much downforce he's running on that car. Perhaps not too much, which is why his straight line speeds up against some of these other cars. The team electing to run a low wing angle, keep the straight line speed up and say, well, lad, you can drive, so just hang on to her.
Yeah. Well, you've got that one big straight, and that's where you can take a massive advantage here at NOLA. But you can see they're weaving through the S's here at great speed, bouncing over the curbs, using all the track and more.
Austin Riley looking extremely aggressive, as you say, all over the curbs, really hounding the back of the 24 machine of Greg Gorski. He's got the lights ablaze. It's Evil Buddy is what he's nicknamed that car. And you can see the red lights glowing on the front of that 24 machine. But at the moment, I've got to say, even more evil or menacing is that car behind of Austin Riley, car 20, with that fantastic livery. And then looking pretty racy in the Platinum class is Dersey, who's going to join this fight, or certainly get in the middle of it. So cleverly, Austin Riley gets out of it, gets out the way, says, look, I'll just let you pass, and hopefully can have another go at Greg Gorski once the 09 of Dersey will clear him too.
So this race, within a race, if you will, see Schreiber and Field. We're also looking at the Platinum Class 09, who's making his way up to try and join the leaders, but having to make his way through some of the Pro Class entries.
Further back in the pack, it's Ken Savage in the 5 rather, that is leading the Pro 1340 class from Jace Bacon, and then it's old man Seth Bacon behind him. So once again, son is ahead of father, but we know how it turned out for the podium last time.
You know he wants to beat his dad this time after that comment, yeah, for sure.
Robert Soroka from Canada on the screen, hunting down his fellow Canadian of Austin Riley. And a little bit of a disaster, if you like, for Austin, that he's now got that platinum class between him and Greg Gorski, but all of a sudden he's having to defend a little bit from Soroka.
Now, let me ask you this, Tom. Do you, if you are a Canadian racing in the Canadian Championship, can you come over and do a race in the American Championship, go back, and so you could, you know, wherever you, if you've got the money, you can go race wherever you want? Absolutely,
and in Toronto, both championships are joining together on the streets of Toronto, so that'll be a huge radical festival. Be fantastic stuff with a lot of cars. And Aurora Strauss, our new ambassador, just coming down on screen, and that's a pretty tight gaggle there as well. Then we're back to this 1340 leader, the number 5 of Ken Savage for G-Tech Motorsport. And we have lost, would you believe, yet again, young Jace Bacon.
No.
So the wise old man, I'm sure, is going to have some more sage advice for his son on the podium.
Oh dear. If it wasn't for bad luck, he wouldn't have any, but never mind. He'll live to fight another day. There's another day tomorrow.
Well, I guess he's got years on his side, doesn't he? So
yeah, he's got that. He'll throw it away. He'll throw it off. There's your number 3. There's the other Bacon set. Yeah, he's going about his business. He's all right.
So just ahead of Seth is Savage, and then it's Stewart and Zaudi. It's interesting that Mike Anzaldi it's been running around about the top 10 overall all weekend, and he stormed up through the field. In fact, he was our Sunoco hard charger from race 1. He's got some pace, but he just doesn't seem to be able to find track position, if you like.
Dursey making another move down the straight in the Platinum. You really do see the horsepower difference there, don't you? The way he jinks out like that and uses it to get past Persing.
You do indeed. Of course, that means that Persing's going to be held up just a little bit in some of these corners by Dursey, no doubt. And of course, Persing's trying to get up to the 88, the leader in Pro 1500, Danny Jashelski. And meanwhile, that sets up a great battle between Gorski, Riley, and Soroka for the final step.
Soroka at the back of this group in the yellow, in the blue and orange.
Yeah, so those cars there, line astern, racing for the final step of the Pro 1500 podium.
There's still some 23 minutes left. No cautions yet, although you can see with the dust flying up in the air at turn 6, there are a few occasions when they're pushing to the limit.
Well, I've got to say it's quite a coup for us this year. Our race director, none other than Bo Barfield, and to have a IndyCar and IMSA caliber race director,
yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's just fantastic, and Bo sat everyone down at the start of this event, laid out his expectations for what he wanted, and I must say, touch wood, extremely clean racing, extremely fair racing. It just seems that all these drivers have taken those words on board, and so far providing great action, great passing, but all pretty cleanly.
Yep, and as you can see, Dursey now making his way up to Dachelski in 3rd position overall, and he'll be catching up, hopefully, with Field and Schreiber, who lead the Platinum class, and he'll join them for a battle royal within the 20 minutes left of this race.
Now, meanwhile, I sort of thought Persing had 2nd place wrapped up in Pro 1500.
He's under pressure.
But he is, all of a sudden. The likes of Gorski, Riley and Soroka are right there. And so this is a 4-way motor race now for 2nd place.
Really
now,
cool.
what could be playing an effect is the tyre strategy. Each car gets effectively 2 sets or 8 tyres to play with from qualifying. Of course, who is elected to run their tyres from race 1? Who's put on new rubber? Who's perhaps put new rubber in qualifying and then race 1 and now has to manage what is some pretty used up rubber around the hot racetrack here at NOLA.
And how does it work with those sets? How long do you get, or is there an optimal moment or lap time and then they drop off, or do they stay steady after a while?
Probably, unfortunately for us, we picked a very, very durable compound, and you know, I say that because obviously we have a commercial relationship with Hankook, but
sure.
The Hankook tyre is just fantastic. I couldn't ask for a better tyre for this series or for Radical cars, and it lasts a very long time. It doesn't really have a peak. It has a tremendous plateau.
Yeah.
And the performance is really good. Now, of course, there is that little peak, so you can see the guys are definitely dealing with that. It's hotter. Perhaps some of the teams struggling to, you know, we tested here a couple of months ago, but it was a lot cooler. And so perhaps they don't quite have the strategy set up for this heat. But no, the tyres will last a long time, and that's why you see in this series qualifying going on for so long, because typically the longer they're out, the better the tyres come up into their operating window, and you see the lap times peel off further and further into that qualifying session.
Well, this is hotting up nicely to a 4-way battle, as you mentioned. We've got the Canadians in there, the Americans. Ooh, slightly wide there goes Riley. But you can see Persing at the front of this group, but it's still spread out for now, but I've got a feeling that there's plenty of time for them to start really taking it to each other in the closing stages of this one.
Absolutely, and it's amazing the audio that we're getting here today, because every so often you can hear the brakes lock up, the squeal of those Hankook tyres. You can hear how hard these guys are pushing. We've obviously seen it on screen as well, and it just looks like the rear diffuser of the number 94, Robert Soroka, it's just flapping around a bit, so the Rise-Spec machine with a touch of damage, or perhaps just running over a curb a little too hard. They're definitely using all the curbs. Bo Barfield electing not to police track limits, saying, look, it's not worth it on a racetrack like this. You guys just go for it.
Gorski.
Unbelievable. So Gorski into second place.
Yeah, I think what happened was Persing got held up by Dursey, who, as you said, in the slower parts is going to be slower through those sections. And as they came onto the straight, Dursey took off, and then Persing was left standing, and Gorski went through. And now he's in real trouble. Look at him. Persing under real trouble now. The FR driver regularly, but now doing double duty.
And I just wonder again whether they've just elected to run a fresh set of tyres for race 3 tomorrow, and so they're just doing their best today, just trying to struggle through on this this older set of tyres. But it's really going to play well for Austin Riley, because he is closing in. He's got a crack at a podium here in the second race of this season.
I see what you mean by the diffuser being slightly down on that left rear side.
Interesting that just appears in different parts of this racetrack. Austin is really, really racy, and then the gap is concertinaing. You can see here it closes up a little bit. Persing looks under pressure again. And then in other parts of the racetrack, perhaps the newer SR3 XXR just using that extra little bit of horsepower to stretch its legs over the older XX that Austin Riley's running.
This is the battle for 6th place just up the road. Dursey is pulling away in 4th place, especially here on the straights, and he's going to try to see if he can keep up with Dechelski, who's still leading the pro class in 3rd overall. Field still leading by 1.2 seconds. He's up the gap from half a second to 1.2 now, so he's taken it to Schreiber, who was with him early on, in fact led for a bit. So we're starting to get into the business end of this one. Really good race 2 from the Radicals.
I tell you what, if you're a team manager out there in the rest of the pro paddocks, Dechelski has got to be a name that you're writing down, because this young kid is doing an awesome job. The 88, laying out lap times as fast as some of these platinum class cars. He's in a league as his own. as having a look, the 27. What a great battle this is. Reed Stewart on the back of the 61 of Mike Anzaldi. Anzaldi to the inside, defending well. But you've got to think that Reed Stewart's going to find a way past here. What can he do?
It's pretty tight, that's for sure. Ooh, car stuck out on track there, but out of harm's way at least.
That's Williams in the SR10, so another disastrous day, if you like, for S's Racing. Wayne Williams is stationary on the side of the racetrack.
Yeah, that's the third S's car to have problems. It's hard to work out exactly where you'd make an overtake. They talk about the overtake at 15 coming in here.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really short shoot, and if we were using the IndyCar long straightaway, perhaps it'd be more of an overtaking opportunity. But you could see out of that final chicane, or S's, the 61 of Anzaldi just stayed track right, just to cover off any move by Reed Stewart.
Down the straight they come. And we'll try to keep an eye on all three battles. Obviously the Platinum Field and Schreiber going at it. The gap still 1.8 seconds, so it's still on, if you will. We've been watching the Pro 1500s, and we'll try to keep up with what's happening in Pro 1340 as well.
Well, and I don't know if I just missed it in all that excitement, but Field's back in the lead. So Schreiber, of course, the early leader in this race, and had sort of run away with it, if you will, over the American Le Mans Series champion. I can guess you can never count out a driver who mixed it up with those Audi factory boys, with that privateer effort, with the Lola, the black Lola, the 37. You'd remember that from the old ALMS days. And John Field loves his motorsport, and maybe it's a bit of traffic where Field has managed to take advantage and get past a 111. You can see Schreiber's right behind him, but they are carving their way back up through the pack.
I think you're absolutely right. I think Schreiber's been beaten by the traffic a little bit, and that's what's allowed Field to maybe make the move.
If there's one thing I know, it's John Field will go for a pass. I guess it's the American Le Mans Series experience, but he's so aggressive. If he gets a sniff of a slower car, he's into the inside and just fires it in there and says, well, you deal with it now, because I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's still 14 minutes to go, and the gap is just 0.5 between them. Meanwhile, Dersey is coming fast. He's 26 seconds adrift at the moment, but there is plenty of time yet. He's in fourth place. Buchalski still in third, leading Pro 1500.
Oh, we heard a big lock up there, so hopefully that was an issue. Now, that was young Austin Riley trying to get past Richard Girosha from Wisco Racing. So again, these front runners are quick. They're catching the guys at the back of the pack. And this is a whole new dynamic, because we've had a green race so far, and all of a sudden, unlike race one earlier today, they're having to deal with traffic.
Yeah, exactly. We had a staccato race one where it was stop-start a little bit with the cautions, but this has been free and green. I'm loving it. And the 37 bouncing over the curves there once again, John Field. And there you see the gap between the two leaders.
Yeah, and I tell you what, it's still pretty close. With 13 minutes remaining, I mean, Louis Schreiber has enough time just to stay calm, cool, collected, perhaps just get a little bit of heat out of those Hankook tyres for one more charge to the front. And Dan Decker on screen in the number 7, that sort of Porsche homage paint job. And a beautiful car, one of the other Cameron Racing cars entered for the season. And Decker having a bit of a go back at, I apologize, it's Austin Riley's old car. That's got me all confused. So that's the 73 of Kevin Poitras. I do apologize.
Well, we know this is Tuchelski, that's for sure, in the 88.
Well, you can tell, because somehow he looks calm, cool, and collected, whilst every so often just hanging it out there over the edge. And there's no doubt he is a superstar in the making.
How old is he?
Oh, he's like 15 years old.
Oh, wow. Brilliant.
This kid came in, had never really set foot in a Radical, jumped into a car for the World Finals at Spring Mountain late last year, and just set the world on fire. It was an unbelievable performance. Ended up runner-up to Toby Sowry, who
went on to Indy Lights,
Indy Lights star. So this kid just really cleaned everyone's clock and is showing his caliber again here today. I tell you what, we need to do some media training on him. He's a man of very few words at the moment, gets a bit nervous in front of the spotlight. He's going to have to get to deal with that, because I have a feeling this young man's going to be on the podium more often than he is not.
It's so funny, you've just described the phenom that is in Trans Am, and that's Brent Cruz. Same story, came on to the scene last year, totally blitzed the field, won again today at just 15 years of age. Needs a little bit more media help, but I don't care. He's a man of few words, he does it all on the track.
Well, that's it. You don't need to say much, I guess, when all the, your actions speak louder than words. Absolutely. When it comes to racing. You mentioned before, and that rear diffuser on the back of Soroka's car doesn't look any nicer, does it? It looks like it's flapping around even more. But he is past Austin Riley. So that's a change in position. So that diffuser isn't affecting him too much. Young Austin Riley being demoted there as Soroka finds himself now in 4th place. So it's Dashelski from Gorski pursing in the podium, the final podium place, and then it's Soroka Riley.
So, great run so far. 10 minutes to go in our race 2 Blue Marble Radical Cup here from NOLA. Great to hear Tom Brewer coming in here to talk to us about the championship. Just let me ask another question. The World Final, how do you qualify for that, and who can go to it?
Well, effectively, if you're running one of the 14 championships around the world, the Radical Cup championships that is, or indeed if you run radicals at a number of the country clubs, SCCA, NASA. So if you're running at a recognized championship, you are eligible. So very, very open. We are limiting it to make sure that we perhaps don't have the dark horses of the Sowrys come in without running some races earlier in the season. But very, very open. So basically, as long as you can get your backside, trackside in one of these machines earlier in the year, you'll be eligible.
So we're looking at the 09, making his way towards the finish of Dursey.
I tell you what, a very impressive performance for Dursey today. Obviously had the benefit of the 500 machine of Indiana Miller sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah.
But Dursey found some pace. He said this car suits him so much better than the Pro 1500. He's not a small guy, and I think having that extra horsepower, he's not giving anything away.
Right.
And so, but I think just generally the driving style that it takes to run a Platinum class car, they do drive extremely differently from the SR3s. The SR10's more horsepower, but a little bit more push in some of the high-speed areas. You have to manhandle the car a little bit more, and Dursey likes doing that. And all of a sudden, he's looking set for a podium finish. And I tell you what, that'd be a big result. Again, it shows the competitive nature of all of these classes. And he's now coming up through the field and past the 29man of DeRocha, who's in his own battle with Dan Decker out at the back end of the field. And there we go, popping the number 94. This is huge. So Soroka on Persing, and he'll have the inside run into turn 1. Hopefully we'll pick this up.
Yeah, it's all gonna go kick it off in a moment between them, because Soroka made a great move there. Here we go.
Right.
Persing.
So amazingly, it looks like Persing's managed to maintain position. So perhaps he got a bit of an eye-opener there. Didn't realise that Soroka was going to have a run and all of a sudden needed to get a move on.
This is great. Really good racing between them here. Close as you like. Riley's still involved.
Riley is, and I tell you what, you got to think that Riley will just be hoping that these guys perhaps have a little moment. You know, one pushes each other a little bit too much, and he'll be right back in the hunt. But there we go. Persing now having a go on Gorski.
Oh.
So the back markers are making a mix, a melee of the Pro 1500 class, because all of a sudden the number 19 was under attack. Now he's back in a second place.
And as they come back on the straight, he's got it back again. Amazing.
This is epic racing from
Really
the Blue
good.
Marble Radical Cup. And Greg Gorski, you can see to the inside, the glowing red headlights are having a go at the number 19. He's got back in front. So with under 6 minutes remaining, all of a sudden the lead, or the second place, changes again for Pro 1500.
Really good stuff. And Persing will try and see if he can build up on it again now. It was round here that he got it back last time on Soroka, but now can he build it back again? He's good through the infield, is Persing, that's for sure.
Wow, and further back, Austin Riley is hustling his fellow Canadian Soroka. And we'll see what happens here as they try and clear the 29 of DeRocha. Now, of course, he's free to race. He's out there too. And Persing is right on the back of Gorski again.
Yeah, this is really good stuff. Battle for 6 overall.
Second in class.
Yep.
And
there's just no give, is there? I mean, this is intense stuff. I mean, they are on it. 10-10s.
Well, the other thing that this proves is you don't have to be a young gun. Greg Gorski is what you'd call a gentleman driver, and there's nothing gentlemanly about him. He's as good as any of these young kids, and that's a great thing about Radical Cup. It's not about the machinery, it's about the driver, and you're going to get pushed from guys that have come to the sport later in life. You're going to get pushed from the young guns trying to make a name for themselves.
Here we go again, the 94 of Soroka just popping out past the 7 of Decker. That's not full position. He's basically passing a bit of traffic there. Field and Schreiber still coming together with 4 minutes to go. 0.3 between them, so they're going to be glued together on track for the overall lead in Platinum.
Wow. So everything heating up as this race winds down. Now, I don't think anyone out there would have necessarily expected this to go green. It shows the caliber of these guys, but it means these guys are going to be getting hot and bothered under their racing suits, inside the helmets. It's hot out there here today at NOLA Motorsports Park. They have been going absolutely hammer and tong, tooth and nail, and these guys are going to be wearing themselves out.
Here we go. Here's your battle at the front. Field in the black and red, ahead of Schreiber in the 111, the all-white.
If there's no one that knows how to lead a motor race, it's John Field. Louis Schreiber is so hungry for a race win, though. So hungry. And you got to think that he's going to try anything. Now, Schreiber's going to have to be a little bit careful because he is definitely under the watchful eye of Bo Barfield. A couple of drivers having quite a big moment at Watkins Glen last year, and Schreiber was one. And there's no doubt that Barfield's asked the guys that were involved in that incident, they've got to keep it clean. They've got to prove their stripes or earn their stripes again. But so far, Louis Schreiber doing a fantastic job at that, getting back into the Radical Cup and straight back at the top of the field.
Well, they're coming through the S's now into the most obvious overtake, but I don't think he's near enough to do that overtake this lap, but we'll get another lap in for sure.
No, it just looks like field in that part of the racetrack is stronger. And I'm just remembering back to the high-speed S's at Sonoma, which is very similar to this racetrack. And Field attacked that high-speed S's like no one else. He was a wild man at Sonoma last year, and you can see the back end of the car squirming about as he tries to put 425 brake horsepower down. The white flag is out.
Here we go then, last lap of the race, and you can see the battle for the win on this final lap. They've got the 5 in front of them. That's Savage, but he's going to slow them both down here through the wiggly bits.
Yeah, so Field's going to have to be careful here. He's going to have to get cleanly past a back marker. That's going to give Louis Schreiber the opportunity to have a go. Here they go, throw all, and Schreiber's going to have to be careful because he got chopped off by the number 5, but got out of it. Fantastic job by Louis Schreiber to try and keep it clean.
And he's got through now, but that has lost Schreiber a bit of time there, and that was good thinking from Field. He used it well.
You know that Schreiber is going to be screaming inside that helmet, but he did the right thing, got out of it. Just lived to fight another day. He's going to get a huge haul of points, whether he finishes first or second. That's going to be an important part of the championship, and I got to say that that shows that he's growing as a driver, because I think a few years ago, Louis Schreiber would have kept the front of that car stuck in there.
Good
but
point.
Field is coming down through those S's for the final time.
Yeah, he's won it with that move, no question about it. He used the traffic to his advantage. Schreiber's going to catch up in this last complex, but it's all John Field. He's in a field of dreams right now. Excellent stuff. Schreiber led early on, but Field took the lead while we were watching one of the other battles, which was so good. The Chelsea has dominated in the 1500s, but it's going to be John Field onto the main straight again and taking the checkered flag again. What a great victory for him.
Now, interestingly, I just saw Al Miller in the 500 machine, so an issue for him, but he got out, and that's crucial for him because hopefully he put in a banked a lap that will set the grid, of course. The fastest laps in this race will set the grid for race 3. Now we're waiting for Jashelski to come through. There he is. So the blue 88 machine will take another win in Pro 1500, and then we're waiting to see who will take second place.
Well, that's anybody's game. It's going to be very interesting to see that, isn't it? Between Gorski, Persing, and Soroka. Checkered flag is out, but we want to see who's going to come out of that last corner. Durzee's done his bit. Here we go!
And it's Gorski, who seems to have got the jump.
Or is it?
Going 2 and 3 wide, right down to the line. I think it is Gorski from Persing. Did Soroka get past? I don't think so.
Nah, I think Persing got the second of those 3. Great finish.
Epic job by Greg Gorski. Persing with another podium as well. Soroka just unlucky to finish out of the podium positions. And we've got to pick up who was in the Pro 1340 class. And that was Ken Savage, who took the win in the number 5. No wonder he wasn't going to give anything up to Louis Schreiber. Seth Bacon taking second place, and Kevin Poitras taking another podium there, rounding out the top 3 in Pro 1340. Congratulations, so to Ken Savage, who took the win in Pro 1340.
So confirmation of the result. Well done again to John Field in One Motorsports. Louis Schreiber taking second place. Danny Jashelski taking third for Wisco Racing. Alan Dursey with a valiant performance. He fought hard with the 1500s. He had to for One Motorsports. And Greg Gorski getting to the line before Persing and Soroka. Great battle between the 3 of them, with Austin Riley with them for most of that race. Reed Stewart in 9th position and Mike Ansaldi in 10th. Good racing once again from the Blue Marble Radical Cup. Further down in 11th, Strauss, Savage, Yang, Seth Bacon winning the Battle of the Bacons, or the Bacon Boys as they call themselves. Dan Decker in 15th place, Portras in 16th, DeRocca 17th, Miller, Chase Bacon not finishing, and likewise Wayne Williams. So my thanks once again to Tom, and appreciate it. Another race tomorrow.